Hey, good evening. Blessings out there, everybody. What's going on? It's your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Look, super excited to be able to come to you here on this Sunday evening in the month of October. Y'all look at here. Man, this year's almost gone. So, wow, just sitting there thinking about it a little earlier, like, man, it's time for everybody to start renewing those New Year lives. I mean, those New Year resolutions, right? Either way, just kidding, but kind of. But listen, y'all, it's that time of day. Yeah, gonna chat for a little bit, talking about retirement. So again, if you don't mind, like, share, let somebody know that Wild Man is on again. And so we'd be so appreciative if you were to let somebody know that we're on as we get ready to get started here. Well, listen, we're talking a little bit about retirement, but first of all, before we get started there, I do want to start this program off by saying go Gators, right? We may have lost to Tennessee on yesterday, but I'm still saying go Gators. There's a hearty go Gator down in my heart. Again, hashtag fire Billy Napier. I just really want to make sure that everybody know I want credit for starting that hashtag fire Billy Napier. There's no way we should have lost to Tennessee on yesterday, but either way, they pulled it off. So congratulations, Volunteers. I think it's what over the last 20 years, I think it's what now 17-3 or something like that. So whatever, 17-3, 17-4, something like that. But either way, y'all won, so I'll go ahead on and give y'all shine right there. Listen, we're talking about retirement today because it's important that we talk about retirement. On this past week, I helped a few families, and one of the main things that I noticed when we sit down with these families is that when we talk about retirement, right? Now, this isn't from a young folk, because a lot of times young folk don't want to hear nothing about this. They're like, retirement, what are you talking about? I'm young. You don't realize right now is the best time for you to start preparing for retirement, because you could, either way, I'll talk about that later. But we're talking about retirement. And the individual came in and we were showing them just exactly what it is that we do. And we were showing them just exactly what they'd be available for, what they'd qualify for, and things of that nature, and how we can protect their financial future. And when I tell you, I wish that I had a camera in here where I could take people's picture when they finally realize that their retirement is going to be secure. The moment that they realize that I'm going to be good, that I'm not going to have to go and get another job, that I'm not going to have to become a Walmart greeter, that I'm going to have money for the rest of my life. I wish that I could just put together a collage of those faces. I guarantee you it would be amazing, right? It'd go viral because it's just, it's heartwarming for me, but it's so groundbreaking for them that they're able to see that, you know what, I really, really can actually retire one day. And so that's what we're talking about a little bit today. We're talking a little bit about retirement. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to go too deep into a whole lot of stuff, because I know a lot of time when I go to talking, people start turning me off. The flip side to that is, though, when I do talk surface, you really don't get the understanding, right? And I, more than anything, want to make sure that you understand exactly what it is that we're talking about. Fair? Fair. All right. So let's talk a little bit about retirement. Now, most people, when they retire, they have what's called a 401k or 403b or 457 or some sort of traditional or Roth IRA, right? All fine, well, and good. If you have been following us for a while, then you know that you'll also have people who say, well, I have a traditional IRA and this, and I have a 401k and this, that, and the other. Now, my goal today is to show you how that works, how a 401k, 403b, 457. That's my goal on today. I want to show you how that works. But I also want to let you know that I'm going to be showing you that from the standpoint of, I need you to ask yourself, am I prepared to hear what Rod is going to say? Again, you may not agree with me, and that's okay. We don't have to agree. I love my wife. We'll wear stripes for her, right? But we don't agree on everything. So I don't want you to get to a point where you're like, well, I just don't agree with you. I want you to hear it objectively and then ask yourself a question. Are you truly prepared to make sure that your retirement is protected? Can you guarantee that your retirement is protected? Yes? All right. So let's get ready to get started here. So I'm going to share my screen. And for those of you all that have been around for a while, this is not going to be something that you've not seen before. But this is my trusty, dusty 401k trap explanation sheet. Right now, here we go. As I always explain to you, the 401k, 403b, 457 is an employer-sponsored retirement program, meaning your employer owns it until you turn age 59 and a half. What do I mean by your employer owning? I dare you, for those of you that have a 401k, if you're below 59 and a half, I dare you to go into work tomorrow and say, hey, look at here, Frank, or HR, look at here. I want to take my retirement money and I want to move it to another vehicle. I dare you to go ask them that tomorrow and see whether their response comes back something like, well, first of all, you got to talk with our provider and they'll let you know. And then when you talk with the provider, you'll be like, hey, look at here, man. I want to move my retirement from this and I want to move it to another place where it's growing money. And what they're going to come back and tell you is, yeah, your employer would have to release that. So basically, we're going to tell you no. All right. So that's basically the first thing I want you to understand. That's why I call it the 401k trap. There's a reason. The reason is the carrier is going to get a tax break for the money that they contribute towards your retirement, right? Another reason is it counts as part of their portfolio. Lord, I want to make sure I spell this word right. While I got this on screen, right? It counts as part of their portfolio, right? So they get a tax break. It's part of their portfolio as far as their overall net worth, right? So that's the reason why they won't allow you to move that money. All right. Now, they're paying a lot of fees and things of that nature. But again, that's stuff that they get to write off. Now, watch this. So what happens with the 401k, let's say this individual is making $60,000 a year. The company is only going to match up to 5% of whatever it is that annual salary is. Now, notice, the annual salary is not with your overtime. It is basically whatever they have contractually said based on your rate of work times however many hours, that's what they're going to match to. Now, very few companies actually will match with your overtime money too. There are some, but very few, right? Most of those are contract companies or things of that nature, right? But very few legacy companies will, in fact, give you more based on your overtime work. All right. Now, so in this example, they're going to contribute about $3,000. What we have seen and what most people agree is that people always give extra money because they feel like if I give extra money, I'm going to actually grow my income even more. All right. So let's go to the next. So over a period of 35 years, this person has now contributed about $227,000. Yes. Now, this is where it gets sticky icky, right? Because that $227,000 does not stay with the company. It's actually put off into the variable market. And what do I mean by the variable market? This is where your money goes to the stock market and to the S&P 500 and all of those places like that. And so with that being the case, I want to show you something, right? So take a look real quick. So what I did here, now, mind you, this is not, and I don't want to say numerically accurate, but it's not indicative of what happens in the market. So let's say somebody had $1,000 investment from 30 years ago. Basically, if they assume that the average rate of return is 8%, they're basically saying now that this $1,000 investment would now be worth $10,000. Does that make sense? That is the power of the market. You put your money in the market expecting an average rate of return. And what happens is when you get that average rate of return, it grows your money. That is the expectation. But here is what I thought was very, very interesting that most people don't know, is that the actual return on your investment could be higher or lower than 8%. And notice the key word that they have here is average. That is it. It's the average. It's not saying it's 8%. It's basically saying it is the average of 8%. So what does that mean? That means you can have some highs and some lows and some mediums and this, that, and the other. So what they're saying is over a 30-year period, if you average about 8% with the highs and the lows, then you end up with $10,000. Why is that important? That's important to know because when it comes to investing your money, you've also got to understand that the market fluctuation is a setback. And whatever the market loses, you have to double that loss in order to get back what you lost. Does that make sense? And so that's what we try to show people. We show people, hey, man, just because they say an average of 10, 12, 18%, they're going to sell you on that. That's their job. But what we want you to do is be empowered to understand what that means. So let's go back here. So if we go back to our numbers, what we're looking at is if we just said that this person contributed $227,000, and the average rate of return for the last 30 years has been about 7.22%, then literally what that means is what you would have gained on average is about $16,000, which means you would only have about $245,000. That's what this means. That's what this means. And over a period of 30 years, that's not good. That's not good. All right. So what we do here is we simulate and say that, let's say that you earned your money, whatever you had, whatever you invested, you doubled. And so what happens is now this person has $455,000 to live on. So if this person decides to retire with this $455,000, they've got to see Uncle Sugar. And who is Uncle Sugar? Nothing more than the tax man. Why is that? Because what happens is what y'all think is, and let me add this up here, free money is really not free money, because what ends up happening is you actually have to pay the taxes on the gains. Does that make sense? So they say it's free money, but you basically have to pay taxes on the gains. So where they're getting the tax break, you're paying the taxes on the back end. So in this example, Uncle Sugar would get about $155,000, and you are left with about $300,000 to live on for the rest of your life. What that equates to is about 5 years of your annual income, which means 5 years after you retire, you'll be going back to work. That's basically what this means. And that's whether it's a 401k, 403b, 457, any of those things. That's basically how it works as far as your retirement is concerned. And so we've done this exercise countless of times, right? We've often figured out exactly how much money do you need. Or before I even go into that, I want you to understand something. You putting your money just because your employer matches it is not going to make sure that your retirement is protected. And that's what we're talking about today. How safe is your retirement? So let me share something with you. Now, here we go again. What I'm about to share with you is unthinkable. It's unconscionable. It should have never, ever happened. But I want you to understand something, though. This is what happens when you think that your money is protected and it's really not. When you think that your retirement is protected, it's really not. So let me share my screen. So we get here now, and I want you to recognize something. So here, and this is on Google, you can go and search it for yourself. But notice what the article says, that the Dallas Police and Fire Pension has been underfunded for years. And the city is facing a crisis to fund the retirement benefits of current and former employees. Let's put that into perspective. How mad would you be? You did your 30 years, you got your watch, you got your mug, you got whatever. You're off living the retired life. And now all of a sudden, when you go to the, you get a text alert that your check bounced. You get an alert that, oh, wait a minute, my money ain't straight. And you realize that your retirement money that you were banking on being there is no longer there. What do you do? How do you respond? See, this is what this is saying. This is what's happening. Again, there are police officers and firefighters and public servants that have done their duty. And now their employer, who has their pension, is now struggling to be able to make the payment. And why is that? So what happened is they put their money in risky investments. And as they made these risky investments, mainly in real estate, it almost bankrupted the fund in 2016. And then they did some private investments and other investments to try to come back up. But guess what's happening? They're still coming up short. And it's not the fault of the employees, but who are the ones that are actually living the pain, right? Who's living the pain? The employees. And so there you saw just down below that the city passed a 30-year plan to address the pension plan, which includes spending $11 billion. Now, who do you think is going to fund that $11 billion? How do you think they're going to collect that $11 billion? See, these are the things that we have to be looking into. Now, again, that means higher taxes. Again, I'm not even going to talk about that because that's not what this is about. I could get off into that tangent, not today. But I want you to understand, this was something, somebody's retirement was already paid for, and now all of a sudden it's not. Because some hedge fund manager decide to make a risky investment and put somebody else's livelihood on the line and not their own. And now the citizens of Dallas County, and even those that go there to visit, are now going to have to pay the toll in higher taxes. That's what it boils down to. And so, well, Rod, you bringing all this doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom, fam. I'm really just trying to educate you because I don't want this to be you. I don't want you to find out and get a call one day that your checks are bouncing because there's no money there, right? You have time to respond to make sure that your retirement is going to be there when you need it, all right? So let's go back to my trusty dusty screen. So as I pull this back up, one of the things we want to make sure that you understand are what are your numbers. You need to know how much money you need to retire. Or should I say you need to have in your retirement account when you walk away from your job. Now, it's a very simple formula. You take your annual income. Now, again, this is not just ride off into the sunset money. This is the bare bones amount of the income that you will need in order to make sure that you're straight, right? Again, you know, this is not, like I say, living La Vida Loca money. This is the bare amount of minimum, because we're not even going to talk about inflation, right? Because that's a whole nother 30-minute session. All right, let's get popping. So somebody said, Rod, I want to retire at 60. We teach our clients, make sure that you have enough money to get you to the age of 90. So if you subtract 90 from the age of 60, it gives you 30. So literally what it's saying is your bare bone money amount that you need when you walk away from your job is to have at least $1.8 million. If we look at fam up here, nowhere near it. And we showed you why. Because what they pay you on is an average rate of return, and that's the sum of the gains and the losses. That's the reason why people's 401k are not growing the way it should grow, right? It's not growing. So here we go again. Y'all have seen this screen. This screen shows you how an annuity can make sure that you are prepared to have income for the rest of your life. So again, just $200 a month, starting at the age 18 to the age of 67, you would have contributed about $117,000. But guess what? You would have about $6.25 million. And so I ask you, ladies and gentlemen out there, would y'all be able to live with a $375,000 a year check? Most of us, yes. Very few of us, maybe, right? But again, that's what you can have and be sure that it's there, because the way annuities work, or the fixed index annuity, is that you do not lose when the market goes down. They cap your gain. Yes, they do. They cap the gain. What do I mean by that? If the market jumps 20%, then you're still going to only get that 9, 12, or whatever they promise you in that, right? That's what you're going to get. But the security that you get is what's called a floor. And what that means is if the market drops 30%, 20%, 15%, 2%, 1%, you have zero losses. So your money, for the most part, instead of it being peaks and valleys like the stock market is, your money creates a stairway to retirement. So when the market is doing good, you go up. When it's not doing well, you hold. When it goes back up, I feel like that Price is Right song, that yeah, that one there. So that's what happens with your money. And that's why when we show and sit down with our clients and show them the fixed index annuity, that's why a lot of them are like, yeah, let me get some of that. So again, that's my time today. That's what I wanted to show you. I want to show you to protect your retirement. But let me say this one last thing. Most people don't know this. So parents, for those of you that say, well, my children are going to be the beneficiaries of my 401k, you are aware that they're going to be taxed on that as capital gains. So that means Uncle Sugar is going to get 40% of that because it's going to them. Facts. So let's just say if you have one child or you have $100,000 left in your 401k, that means your child is only going to get $60,000. All bad. However, with the fixed index annuity through us, because it is an insurance-based product, it goes right by probate. You don't pay any taxes because it's considered an insurance-based product. That's what we teach people. That's why our clients that come and sit down with us that are serious, that are really, really serious about protecting their retirement, that's why they love us. And they're like, we got to get this information out. And I agree. And that's why I took this time out today in between meetings to be able to come on here and share this with you. Now, again, I know it's a lot. Again, I do that. I know. But again, as I say, I don't want to be one of those guys that just puts out 2-minute content and you think you're hearing something and you're not really understanding it. I always want you to understand what it is that we're sharing with you. Always, always, always. I'll do that now. I'll do that forever. Well, listen, that's my time today. May the Lord bless you. I'm Rod Hickman, the CEO of Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Remember, knowledge is not power until it is applied. You can have an 18-wheeler truck gassed up, ready to go. As you can rev the engine, it's not going to go anywhere until you actually apply the clutch and put it in gear. That's when you could begin to start making some momentum and going forward. And that's the same way we want to help you and your family. We love you. Give us an opportunity to earn your business. God bless you. And y'all have a good night. Goodbye. Bye-bye.